Well, the offseason for the New York Mets continues to make moves, and they signed left-hand reliever A.J. Minter, formerly of the Atlanta Braves, to a 2-year, $22 million deal confirmed by our own New York Post, Joel Sherman. And we're here to break it down with our Mets beat writer, Mike Puma. Mike, I know this offseason has not been so busy since the Juan Soto signing happened. First off, how you doing? Are you enjoying the offseason? And second off, what do you make of this move by for the Mets signing A.J. Minter?
Yeah, I'm enjoying the off season, but also looking forward to getting down to Port St. Lucie in a few weeks to get things underway. And yeah, the AJ Minter signing really fills a need for this team because lefty relief became an issue last season. They had Brooks Raley who needed elbow reconstruction. Jake Diekman was a free agent that didn't work out. So they by the end of the season, they were using Danny Young, who performed admirably for a stretch, but just kind of hit the wall a little bit. And so you bring in AJ Minter here, who's proven lefty. He's done it for a long time with the Braves, and it gives you a formidable left-handed setup presence.
Yeah, I mean, they're clearly making moves here for the bullpen and attacking what they deemed as a weakness for this team. You know, Juan Soto was the prize of free agency, Mike, and they were able to make that deal. They got Clay Holmes, they re-signed Sean Manaea, and now they get Minter here. The big news besides this deal for Minter is the fact that Pete Alonso and his time with the Mets seem to be coming to an end here. I just want to get your take and opinion. You've been covering Pete here since day one, since he came up with the Mets organization and been playing here. And what are your thoughts on the fact that David Stearns and for all intents and purposes, Steve Cohen are drawing a line in the sand here to say, we have our contract that we're offering you, Pete, and we can't go a dollar further, and we're willing to let you walk here in free agency, and it seems like a breakup is happening with Polar Bear.
Yeah, and it's obvious that all emotion has kind of been removed from this decision here, and David Stearns is taking a very clinical approach with it, looking at how first basemen, particularly guys past their 30th birthday, are valued in the game, and it got to the point here where it was stretching it out, and it seems like they kind of made a take it or leave it offer to Alonso, and that 3 year, 68 to $70 million range, and doesn't look like right now that they're getting back together. I mean, I guess something still could happen, but the Mets are moving on here. They've spent a little bit of money here over the last couple of days.
They certainly have, and I want to ask you, Mike, do you feel? You talk about the emotion here with Stearns and Alonso. How do you feel fans are going to react to here that the fact that the Mets are willing to just let this homegrown talent, a guy who's a proven power hitter, one of the best power hitters in the game right now, just basically walk for nothing and kind of say we're willing to move on and go on to the next chapter of building this roster out?
Yeah, a large segment of the fan base won't be happy about it, and if the team struggles, particularly offensively, it's something that's going to become an issue this season. At the same time, there's probably a significant number of fans in the base that thought, hey, you know what, maybe it was time to move on from Alonso, that he'd become a little bit too one-dimensional as a player, and that one dimension, the home runs even dropped off last season to a career low for a full season for him. So we'll see how it goes here. All indications kind of point right now to Mark Vientos playing first base, but something else still could happen here. There's a lot of unsigned players out there.
There certainly is, and Alonso being one of them now, as one of the big free agents still out there. Where do you see Alonso's market developing now that the Mets seem to be out of the picture for him?
Yeah, that's a tough one because he hasn't strongly been linked anywhere else, and I think the consensus kind of was going into this thing that the Mets would be the best fit for him. Toronto has come up as an option, I think, a little bit. I don't know how. Now, you don't know how serious any of these teams are, though. Is it, just kind of peripheral interest or strong interest. The Giants, the Mariners, the Angels are another team that could probably use some pop there. So I mean, I think the big indicator to me was last month where you had the flurry of first baseman kind of changing places within a few days. There was like one extended weekend where Goldschmidt went to the Yankees
Mm-hmm.
and Naylor went to Arizona and Santana. You had four or five first basemen change places, and Alonso still didn't have a seat, and that made you think, wow, his market just really shrunk here.
It
So
is.
this will be interesting.
It will be. I mean, I never thought I would honestly see the day that a Steve Cohen owned Mets team would actually say, we're not going to go a dollar more because we put a value to what you give to this team. And even though you're homegrown and you've been here for so long and the fans love you, we just can't go to that dollar extent that you're asking for. It's just a fascinating way it's played out here. And where he ends up, truly, we'll be paying attention to see where Pete ultimately ends up as a free agent. One final thing, Mike, for me, as the Mets make this move for Minter, they re-sign Jesse Winker. They're making this move now post Alonso, it looks like. Tanner Scott was still out there, though. He is the top left-handed reliever out there on the market. Are you surprised at all the Mets didn't go full bore for a guy like Tanner Scott?
Yeah, and it's Scott. Now you got Minter on a 2 year deal. Scott might have been, I don't know if they could have gotten Scott on a 2 year deal. That probably would have been at least three, and that's one of those things you really want to go 3 years on a reliever. So I think that was probably the overriding factor. And I've been told that the Mets are probably most likely out on Tanner Scott now that they've added AJ Minter. So I still think they'll probably add uh, another proven arm down there. You have Edwin Diaz, you have Reed Garrett coming back, you have Nunez who pitched well for them before the elbow. So uh, they got some guys. Jose Budo looked pretty good in the bullpen last year, but I still think there's probably room for one more significant bullpen addition.
Yeah, and you do wonder. Obviously, they signed Clay Holmes to be a starter, and he was a setup slash closer for the Yankees for a while there, and he made a role for himself there as one of the best in baseball. But the Mets are going to start him out as a rotation piece, so you wonder how that plays out for him this year coming up. But still, some moves to be made, as you're saying, for the Mets. We're looking forward to seeing your coverage throughout the rest of the offseason until we get to spring training for Port St. Lucie, and we'll follow you down there too. But Mike, thank you as always for coming on and breaking down the Mets offseason with us, man.
All right, happy weekend.
You too.